Hello and welcome. This is EagleEye621, and today I am going to be showing you the easiest, best way to find netherite in the nether, which is where it spawns. Now I do have a couple of different techniques, even though I am saying easiest and best. There's actually a couple because it's really dependent on how you feel and your proficiency in certain things. If some of these techniques make you nervous and therefore you go a little bit slower, then obviously they won't be the fastest. And then also, broadly speaking, some are going to be a little bit more resource friendly than others, and those typically are going to be a little bit slower. So let's dive right in. But before I do, if at any point you enjoy this video or find it interesting, do be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. So now let's look at what's in this chest, and let's also talk about where in the world we are. And I am, as you can see, the owner of a terrible computer, but more importantly, I am at level Y15 is what I am looking at, and 14 is where I am standing. So this is going to be your sweet zone. The netherite will spawn the most frequently at Y level 15, and then second most frequently at levels 14 and 16, roughly equally, and then third most often, again, in a nice little curve, so that 15 is your best starting point, and then in either direction is roughly the same. So these are the blocks that you most want to expose, and let's start with some of the safer, more resource-friendly versions, and that would be for the pickaxe method. So again, there's two general categories. There's the pickaxe and the explosive. I will have some links down below so you can blow past the ones you're not interested in. I also do highly recommend that you grab some basic armor at least. And then also, if you have some noob juice or a potion of fire resistance, that's another great thing to have. Food, of course, as well. In terms of your pickaxe, an efficiency 2 diamond pickaxe or an efficiency 3 iron pickaxe are your minimum requirements in order to insta-mine. And it's actually faster to insta-mine in survival than it is to mine in creative mode. Let's also grab some of these potions just so I can see, and some food just in case, because we are going to be going into survival mode, just like that. And this first technique of strip mining is pretty obvious, but there's a couple of variations of strip mining which are going to be interesting. And you can see that our iron does insta-mine the netherite, the nether rack. And let's make sure you can see what's going on. I do prefer the diamond just because it is a lot more durable. So if you do have diamond, it's going to be a lot easier. And your typical strip mine, as I'm sure most of you know, is just dig a nice 2x2 tunnel like this. A 2x1. And then every so often you make your other paths. And of course, I'm running into some non-netherite stuff. And then you skip 2. So this is 1 and 2. And on your third, you make another path, and that way you can see all of the blocks in between. And you skip another 2, and you keep going like this. And sometimes you make a hole, or you find a hole. Always be worried for the fire or the lava pouring out of a little poke hole that you have. Now, at this level, the lava lakes are above us. However, there can be ravines, and there can be some other issues. Now, in terms of efficiency and speed, for every 2 blocks you clear, you are showing 8 more. You have the 2 on each side, the 1 on top and bottom, and then the 1 in front, which you're about to mine anyways. So it's 1 block mined for 4 blocks seen. It's not terrible. It's not great. And then you have your poke hole method. In your poke hole method, I'll start on this other side. Right here is exactly what it sounds like. Every 2, you just make a 1x1 poke hole as far as you can reach, like this. Skip 2, and then on your third one, you do that. Skip another 2, and then go again. And this is a little bit more efficient because for each one block you clear, you can see 5 blocks. It's all around plus the one you're about to mine. So this is more efficient than your typical hallway. It is a little bit slower, however, than just your sweeping mine technique. And what that looks like is just holding down the cursor and dragging yourself to the left and keep on going. And that's because with insta-mine, you're mining the blocks instantly, and you can see all of that area. Now, it's a lot less efficient than the poke holes, but it's actually faster, and that's because when it comes to these poke holes, the limiting factor is your manipulation of the keys. It's moving your character into the right position, moving again, counting again, moving again, where for if you have insta-mine, you just drag and go, and your speed is limited by your character's movement, which is as fast as you can because you're just holding it down. So if you have a decent mending setup or you have the extra pickaxes, this method I would recommend more than the poke hole method if you do have that insta-mining. If you don't, then the poke hole method is going to be better because you really want to focus on efficiency. There is also a little bit of another method you can use here, and that's if we grab these trapdoors. Now, you want to be careful about your Y level here. Again, Y level 15 is where you're going to find the most, and that's the target right like this. So we're going to put a block down, we're going to put a trapdoor down like this, and we're going to mine in there, and we're going to compress ourselves. Do bring some trapdoors with you in case you get stuck and you stand up and you mine around a little bit. And you just walk forward and you mine the blocks. And this is going to be your most efficient method because it's basically the poke hole method. With each block you break, you can see 5 new blocks. However, you don't need to bother with your 2 or your 1x2 hallway. So if you don't have insta-mine, this is actually about as efficient as you can get in terms of your per block breaking. But again, your speed is then limited by how fast you crawl, so that is slower than these other methods, but more efficient. So it's kind of up to you based on your scenario. If you can grab insta-mine, I would recommend your sliding technique. Now, some people like more of what they call a Jitter-Click, which is essentially, if I go forward, it's basically just wildly moving your mouse around and hoping for the best. I don't think that's faster because in that time you can see a bunch of blocks, but it's very jaggedy, and if you do it wrong, then you might end up needing to fix your tunnel, whereas for something like the technique where you just slide, you can just clear blocks faster because, again, it's not your input speed, it's your character movement speed, which is going to be faster for most of you. And that is your mining techniques in terms of how to find your netherite. Stick to your Y level 15, and then based on what you can have, clear as many blocks around you as possible. But now on to some more fun techniques. And the more fun techniques involve explosives. So let's start with the TNT and grab our flint and steel to set it off. And let's show you how to do this. Now, for this, again, Y levels are always important because you want to expose as much of the blocks in your Y15 area as possible. So with the TNT, it actually drops a little bit based on this. So you want to place your blocks onto the Y level 16, which is this block right here. So we want to give ourselves some room in order to be able to place that. You can see that this block that we're going to place it on, again, your target block, is 16. So now you're going to just make a nice hallway. And you can run through this. Be careful about those lava pockets, though. So you generally want to have some things on the bar in order to block it. And just keep on going. And then if you have some lava, there is your fire resistance potion that maybe you've drank already, or maybe you have some extra fire resistance on your armor, which will also be helpful. I'll link an armor video too. And this method is really good if you have my sand duper, for example. I'll link another video, and a creeper farm or a witch farm or a ghast farm, and you have unlimited resources. I find this is going to be the fastest. Now you'll see I'm placing every second, I'm skipping 2 and placing every third block a TNT. And I do that because generally speaking, you're going to get a full chain reaction. Not always, but I find that 2 is a little bit wasteful if it's every other, and 4, you more often than not don't get that full chain reaction. So 2 in between, and then set it off. Let's see if we do get that full chain reaction. And it looks like we did not, because I'm on camera, and of course not. So you just go in and you set off the rest of that chain, and you will take any of these lava pockets, just block them off, scoop them up. If you have a hole or 2 in the ceiling, you can patch that. If you end up hitting a deeper lava lake and your whole ceiling just starts filling up with lava, it's honestly faster not even to bother cleaning up, just to move on to a new tunnel. And you can see we have this piece right here, and we also have this piece right here. And of course, because I'm on camera and I have the camera eyes, some of you may be screaming at me that I'm missing a third piece somewhere, but you can see how fast and how big of an area that we were able to clear just like that with our TNT. Now, if you're going to do your strip mining technique, then you want to move over either 9 or 10. But let me just also show you that there are no fires anywhere. That will come up in our next method. There are some lava on the bottom. Typically, the bottom is going to be where you're not going to find a lot. By the time you hit 9, it is pretty rare. It's worth clearing up just to make sure. But as you can see, most of our finds are sort of right around in that sweet spot. So now if you can just continue on down the line, obviously. And again, you check your Y levels, and you can see this is the block we're looking for to place it on 16. Let's get in there and clear some more and continue on our destructive path, just planting some TNT and every third block. Doesn't really matter what's there, although some of the stuff will obviously be less likely to continue the chain reaction than others. And if you have, as I said, a lot of lava start pouring in, if it's a hole or 2 in the ceiling, that's fine when you can see it clearly. If you were to just see a giant wall of lava start coming down on you, like this kind of is, then you just want to turn around and move on. It's not really worth clearing out this whole area. Because I can fly around in creative mode, I can take a look, and we didn't really find anything anyways, so not a big loss. But now, if you want to move to the next side, then as I said, you're going to want to go 9 or 10. I would say just go 10. So this is still at our appropriate Y level, you can see, because it's our tunnel from before. We're just going to move over. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And now we can just blast this path. And I'm doing this in creative, but you can do pretty much this speed in your insta-mining as well. And of course, while you're doing this, you can check if you happen to run into some for a nice little bonus. We found a lava pocket, fix that up. And once the lava is gone, so we don't prematurely do this, again, skip 2 and then place. Skip 2 and then place. And keep going like this all the way. If you mess up, it's not really a big deal. You're not coming back to this area. You're not looking for a pattern. You're essentially just demolishing the nether around wherever you're doing this. And it won't be near your base unless you really like that jagged and destroyed look. And then once you have a nice pathway, set that off, and you hope that you don't hit a massive pocket. And we've got a couple of spots of lava. Chain reaction most of the way, but not all the way. Set that back off. And the reason that we have a bunch pouring in is because we had some gravel. So we can look around, see if we can find any, and in fact we have one right here, which is very nice. And then you move on and you make a new path and you continue on down the line, either going straight or again skipping just that little bit extra. Now on to the bed technique, and just so credit where credit is due, this was pioneered, as far as I know, by Nembomb, who I will link to his video in the description so you can see what's going on. He also did a lot of research to find out that, in fact, the Y level 15 was that most appropriate Y level. Let's grab some of these beds, and I'm actually going to go back into survival for this just to show you something very interesting. Now for this one, you're going to want to focus on the Y level 15. If you have chunk borders, you also are going to want to turn those on and just blast out a nice area here, paying attention to not run into any lava pockets or lava lakes, hopefully. And we've cleared a nice little space. Very nice. And that's nice. Sometimes when you're getting ready to find some, you find some right away. So now the way that this technique works is you're going back to your poke holes and let's try and do one where we're going to have some netherite, so it'll be a little more exciting. Now you only have to go 15, I found, for this, but honestly, it's not worth counting. Just use the chunk borders and go to the next side of the chunk so that you're basically going 16 blocks is just fine. You're going to punch 5, which is as far as you can reach, and then you're going to place a bed as far away again as you can reach. And you will know that I am in survival. I do have some unenchanted, just normal iron armor on, and I'm about to do something that you're never supposed to do in the Nether, and that is try and sleep in this bed in survival mode. And let's see what happens. And still alive. And isn't that interesting? Now you can actually get away with doing this with no armor. You generally won't die. I don't recommend it because you can die. A fire can spawn underneath you, and if you're not hungry and you're not eating fast enough, it is possible to die. If you have some fire resistance potions, I found you haven't died, but the odds of you doing this wrong are also somewhat worrisome. Now, that's why I would recommend even just very basic iron armor, which is not hard to get. You do that on the other side as well. So again, you dig as far as you can, you place your bed, and then you explode it. And we did get a fire this time, and you can see we took more hearts, but we're not dead, and hopefully we'll get hungry soon so we can heal. And indeed, we can, and we weren't at risk of dying either way, but it's always good to have those potions just in case to make sure. And here we can go back into creative just so I can very easily get rid of this one particular lava pocket so that we can see what we do next. And what we're going to want to do, and again I'll go back into survival, is we're going to want to go up one just like this, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to want to do that on the other side as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to come back here. We can break this because we do want to make sure that we are not on that same Y level. Do be sure to eat, of course. And then we're going to need some more beds. I did it both sides like this. So let me just grab some beds real quick. Let's make them some red beds. And place a second bed as far as you can reach again. And we're going to do that on both sides. And again, you can see I'm still in survival mode. And I'm going to click this button, and not dead. And I'm going to leave this here for a second. You can see how much extra space was cleared. The second bed actually clears more blocks than the first bed does, and that's because the netherite has a rather low blast resistance, but the explosion rays can't reach more because the other netherite blocks it. So you can see, if you kind of look around, this is a decent hole, this is a bigger hole, and there are more blocks that you break in that second explosion than in the first one. And you do the same thing again, and when you have your lava pouring down, if it's easy enough, you can clean that. If it's not, then again, you just move on to your next chunk and you continue on the process. Now, unlike the TNT method, you can see this method does have a lot of fire that makes it a little bit harder to see what's going on, but not really, and the fire is easy enough to clean up pretty well. Now, in terms of your speed and your destruction, this method is respectably fast, but it's, I find, not quite as clean and easy and simple as safe as the TNT method. Of course, making a bed only requires some wool and some wood. So this is about as resource friendly as you can go creating these. And then again, you continue on down the line. You make your holes just like this, and you can detonate those. I'm in creative mode just to go a little bit faster. And you can see this time we were able to actually see one. And you do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You go back. You do make sure that you can get back into your hole. You don't want to be on the same Y level as the bed, or you might die. If you're this one block below, based on the way it's calculated, you won't die, especially if you have armor. And you can see that we were able to find one piece right like that. This is about as many blocks as you can blow up as efficiently, resource-wise, as you're going to be able to get. So you have there a number of techniques depending on your style. This really comes down to what you're going to be the most comfortable with, because the most comfortable thing you are, the faster you will be able to do all this. Whether you want to use the pickaxe method shown, the TNT methods if you have the resources, or the beds. In terms of my recommendations, if you're in a world really with unlimited resources, the TNT method is my preference. It's really fast and really easy and very safe because you just walk away. You clear a lot of blocks very quickly and you move on to the next. If you don't have those resources and you don't mind a little bit of explosives, I would tell you to do the bed. And of course, this is Minecraft. Your mining techniques will vary. You guys know whether or not you are good and fast at mining, but only if you can get the insta-mine, only if you can get your efficiency 2 on a diamond or your efficiency 3 on an iron pickaxe, or else don't bother. You're going to drive yourself insane the number of blocks you'll have to break in order to get it, because you need 4 of those in order to make 1 netherite tool or armor. So if you found this video interesting, I would appreciate a like. If you found it exciting, maybe even share it with one of your friends. And for more videos like this, do be sure to subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.